Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a very common problem on Hondas in particular. This one is a 2006 CRV with a 2.4 liter engine, but this actually covers a lot of different Hondas. Anything with the 2.4 liter engine, it's going to be the exact same procedure. The problem that we're having with this one is that the check engine light came on. I'm going to show you real quick what the code is. That's the code that's in there right now. That code is actually for the variable valve timing. What happens is this one here says it's the VTEC pressure sensor circuit voltage high, and that's the 2647. The same code will actually pop in as a 2646. I believe it's going to be the pressure is low. So it's actually common for it to fail both ways, both high and low. Let me shut this off. Okay, it's common for it to fail either high or low. And what happens, the problem you have is that your check engine light is illuminated, the vehicle traction control light may light up, the triangular light may come on as well, and all three of them are related. You'll notice that the check engine light pops on first, and then the other two will pop on, so you'll have all three of them lit. You'll drive the car under normal driving conditions. It feels fairly decent until you try to accelerate. As you try to accelerate, you'll get like a bucking or a jerking type motion with it. Like I said, I've run into this before. I have another video or a couple of videos up with the same exact procedure. But the problem with this is that when you look up the problem in the TSBs, there is actually, it's an intermittent failure, so sometimes it can be a little difficult to pinpoint exactly what it is. From past experience though, I did learn that it's not worth playing around changing just the pressure sensor itself. For the cost of the sensor, for a few dollars more, you can get the sensor and the solenoid assembly all as one complete assembly. You put it in, clear the code, drive the car is absolutely perfect. From past experience, I tried to save customers money by putting in just the pressure sensor switch, because that's what the TSB covers, is that pressure switch. But like I said, I'm going to change that. The first thing you're going to do before you start doing anything, a very basic, simple thing, is to actually check your oil level, because if the oil level is low, it's going to do the exact same thing. If the oil is low, then don't change the valve, just add oil to it and then drive it and see if it goes away. Low oil pressure will actually cause the same codes, the 46 and the 47, to pop back up in there. So make sure your oil level is full. If the oil level is full, then you want to change the complete assembly. Now this car here, let me just back up a little bit. On some cars you will have a problem where there's a strainer in here that's actually clogged up pretty solid with dirt or oily, like congealed oil. On this car, I know it's not going to be a problem, because this car, the oil was changed every 3,000 miles since it was new. I've been working on this car since it was new, so I know that that's not an issue where there's anything clogged up inside here. So let me show you where the valve is located, what the valve looks like, and then we're going to go ahead and change it. So let me grab the valve and let's show you what it looks like. Okay. All right, this is the valve assembly itself. Let me get my glasses on so I can show you exactly what it is. This is the valve assembly itself. This is the pressure switch right here, and this is the solenoid right there. But like I said, we are going to change the complete assembly. So it comes with a new gasket in here already, and also you'll notice that this screen down here, if you are changing just this pressure switch, which I would not recommend, but if you are changing that switch, you want to take this valve off and make sure that that screen right there is not clogged up, because I've seen it already where the screen is full of oily debris or congealed oil, and that causes the problem right there. But like I said, I would never recommend it. I would recommend changing the entire assembly. All right, so let's get up front. I'll show you where it is. It's not really difficult to do. There's actually 3 bolts in the back here, here, and here. You take those, I think they're either 5/16 or 8mm, or it's a 10mm. But we'll see when we get up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug that switch right there, and we're going to unplug the other one right over here, the solenoid. We're going to take those 2 plugs out, relocate them out of the way, and then we're going to unscrew it and take this valve out. So let's get up front and let's continue. Okay, so obviously we're underneath the hood of the car. You are going to need some light up here so you can see what's going on, because it's in a little bit of a tight spot down there. I don't know if you're going to see this really well, but this right here is the actual solenoid itself. Let's see if we can get some better lighting down there. You should be able to see that now. Alright, but that's the solenoid right down inside there. So what we're going to do first is we're going to disconnect that plug right there. We're going to take this plug out here. We're going to take out the other plug, which is down over on the side there, and we're going to take out those 3 10mm screws, and we're going to take that assembly out completely. Alright, so alright, let me get some tools and let's get started. Okay, I don't know how you're going to be able to see it, but we're going to try the best we can. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to push in that little lock tab, and we'll pull out that cable right there. Alright, so that's the one that actually goes to the pressure switch itself. The other one is a little bit tight down here, so we're going to see how we can get in there. Alright, we're going to take out, I'll show you. Alright, we're going to take this, you know what, maybe I'll get this out of the way so you can see a little bit better. Let me move that hose out of the way. Now, like I said, you don't have to take this out, but it may be a little bit easier for you to get in there if this hose is relocated out of the way a slight bit. So let's try that so you can see what's going on better. Yeah, that'll probably be a little bit better so you can see in there. So, all right, let me just get this up out of the way here, and we'll continue. Okay, we're just going to tie that back out of our way a little bit. And now that opens it up just a little bit more inside for us. Now what we're going to do is, you see this cable right here, we're going to remove that cable from the valve assembly. We're going to try to squeeze it so we can take this off without breaking it. I'll explain to you how to do it just as soon as I remove it. Okay. You see this? I don't know if you can see it. Let me bring it up and show you a little bit closer over here. You know what, let me take out the other one and I'll explain to you how to do that. Sometimes getting in there is a little difficult. You'll need your needle nose pliers possibly. So this way here, what I did is I took a pair of needle nose pliers and I just squeezed this piece here all the way until it just popped right off. As far as, I'll bring you in there. Okay, you see this little clip right here? I don't know if you can see that. You see that little clip right there? What we did is we actually got in there with a pair of needle nose pliers and we squeezed it. I hope you can see that better. We squeezed this clip together to get it to pop out of that valve, because we want to put that back in there later on without breaking it, because we don't want it accidentally touching anything down there. So now that this is all disconnected here, we're going to come down. I don't know if you can see this, but down underneath here, I'm going to go by feel right now. Down underneath here, there's actually a bolt inside there. We're going to take out those 3 bolts, and we're going to remove that valve assembly. Looks like that hose might be in your way over there, so we're going to reposition that hose, I think, as well. Let's try to get this up and out of the way. That's not going to happen. Alright, well, we're going to have to do the best we can, just like that. Okay, so now, let me explain to you. Now we have this disconnected here, we disconnected this, and we disconnected this. We took that piece right out of there. So now we're going to take out these 3 bolts here, and we're going to remove the valve. Alright, just so you know, it is 10 millimeter. Okay. Alright, I will tell you, those 10 millimeters were very tight. Now, one thing I'm going to do, which I usually don't do, but I'm going to show you why. There's another, this connects up this way, obviously. Right on the side, right over here, there's another one of those clips that are in there to hold the harness out of the way. I can't get in there to get that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off that 10 millimeter bolt right there, just to remove this plate to get it out of our way. Alright, now I'm going to take out those, I loosened that bolt. Now I'm going to take out those 3 10 millimeters that I just previously loosened up already. I will tell you this, if you're working in your garage, make sure you put a piece of cardboard under it, because it may leak a little bit of oil. Now, from what I remember, I think these bolts are all the same length, but we'll see when we take them out. That's one. That's two. So far they're the same length. Now with this you will have to go by feel because you won't be able to get your head down there to see it. Now once you take that third bolt out, it will be ready to come right out, but it's actually stuck to the block from being on there for so long. Alright, so all 3 of our bolts are the same size. So now we're going to take that valve, just going to push it out of there. There it is. Now it broke loose. Now remember I said about that bolt in there? We're going to take that bolt out and loosen it, take it out, and I'm going to take that shield away. I'm going to pull our valve out. Let me put this down and I'll show you what it looks like in there. But let me unplug that other piece that I told you about first. I hope you can see there, but I don't know if you can, but we'll see. We're going to squeeze together that small little plastic tab. like this. And now we can take our shield out as well. All right, let me show you what that looks like now. Okay, now these are the valves, the valve that came out. But as you can see, remember I told you about if that screen was clogged right here, you want to make sure you clean it out. That's not the case here, because I know, like I said, this car every 3,000 miles, the oil was changed religiously, so I know it's immaculate inside the engine, and sludge is not an issue. Most of the time it's this pressure switch here. There was a TSB on it, but like I said, I changed the whole assembly instead of playing around. So we know that this is the right valve now. You can match it up and see. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go down where this gasket touches the engine. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you, but let's take a look. It's in a tight spot right down there. Right here. We're going to go in there, we're going to clean up all that oily residue and any kind of foreign matter that might be there. So let me clean that up, and then we'll come back. Okay, so now that we have everything cleaned up underneath there, it is very difficult to see where you're touching down there. You want to use something like a mirror so you can look to make sure that it's nice and clean down below, which it is actually nice and clean now. I cleaned it up really well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our new valve, we're going to put it down inside there. We are not going to reconnect these pieces here and here yet. We're going to get the bolts in first, and then we'll put it back together and then tighten it down. So let's put the valve down where it belongs. We're going to grab one of our bolts and put it through here. Okay, now we got the valve. I will tell you this, you do need to use the mirror so that you can see down there. It's very difficult to go by feel because it is tight down there. But with the mirror, you can make it a little bit easier for yourself. All right, so let's catch the rest of our bolts. Now you want to catch all the bolts in there before you tighten up anything. So make sure all three of them are caught and snug down before you go any further and tighten up anything. So let's screw these all the way down by hand. Okay. Now we have all three bolts caught by hand. Make sure that your wiring harness is out of the way and not pinched below. And now that you have all three of them caught and snugged in by hand, as tight as you can, we're going to come in with our ratchet and we're going to snug them down. Now, I will tell you this, don't use a 3/8 ratchet, use a 1/4 inch ratchet. You don't want to take a chance on snapping the bolts off. I always go around the bolts at least 2 or 3 times just to make sure that they're down and snug. Okay. Just to make sure that we're fairly tight down there, we're going to use our shorter socket. Okay, so now all three bolts are tight. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to bring our harness back over to where it belongs. We're going to push those little clips into the holes and hold it out of the way. Now we're going to reconnect our solenoid, and you listen for that clicking noise. The click is actually the lock tab popping back down. You want to make sure that your lock tabs snap in. And just give it a little tug to make sure. Nice and tight. Okay, we're going to get our equipment out of the way. Now, remember that little bolt that you took out, that 10 millimeter? We don't need this because it was part of the old valve assembly. So we're going to put it off to the side. And you know what, let's leave everything right here. We are going to start this up, and of course we're going to make sure that we have no leaks whatsoever. So get all of our tools out of the area. Alright, we are going to put this back in momentarily, but for now, we just have this out of the way so we can see a little bit better right down there. Alright, like I said, make sure your oil level is full, and now we're going to start it up. Okay, and now when it's running, make sure you take your mirror and check to make sure that you have no leaks underneath there. Let me shut this off for a second. Okay, that's better. Okay, now, like I said, make sure you would take your mirror and go down and look around and make sure that you've got no oil leaks coming out whatsoever. It's got to be bone dry, no leaks at all. So let's take a look and make sure. Okay, it's nice and dry. So let's get our tools out of the way. Okay, now that we're sure that there's no leaks underneath there, we're going to take our power steering hose and we're going to put it back on. Remember, you always want to start bolts. I don't have to tell you this, I'm sure you know it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Make sure you always start your bolts by hand. Never use a ratchet on it, because you know on a ratchet you can cross thread it and not even realize it. So we're going to start it by hand. And then once we have it started by hand, then of course we can come in there with our ratchet and tighten it up. Okay, nice and tight. Okay, let me bring it in there. Okay, so let me just go through this with you one more time down here. Hopefully you can see that. Let's get another light. Okay, now after we have everything reconnected down over here, we have all three of the bolts tight down here. We made sure that our solenoid and our pressure switch cables popped in place and locked, and we made sure that there's no leaks down there. Alright, so now let's go inside the car, let's clear the code out, and then let's road test it. Okay, so most important now, sorry, I'm sweating like a pig here today. It's a hot day here today. Not so much hot, but humid too. But I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about there. Alright, so now after we have everything done up under the front, our tools are out of the way, we made sure our oil level is full, we wiped off any oil that leaked down the side of the engine, because a little bit of oil does always leak down there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our scan tool, and we're going to go in and we're going to clear that code out. Okay, so now we have our codes cleared out of the computer. We're going to start it, let it run for a minute, and then we'll make sure everything is okay. So let's do that. Okay, now that we have it running, we can see we have no codes in there at all. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get these gloves off, wash our hands up. we're gonna turn the air conditioner on in this car and then take it for a test drive to make sure it's okay. So let me get cleaned up and we'll come right back and we're gonna go for a ride. Okay, here we go. This is the best part of the drive right here. AC is on, and we're going to take it for a spin. All right, let's make sure it's okay. All right, we're gonna get out to the highway because we can't drive more than obviously 25 in the city here. So we're going to take it out to the highway to make sure it's perfect. Because this only does this bucking. You only get it at highway speed. So let's get on the highway and we'll make sure it's okay. All right, we're on the highway. Let's make sure it's okay now. Feels good. All right, we're going to take it one more run out onto a major highway. This highway is only 45 miles an hour, so we're going to take it out to a major now, and we'll make sure at 60 it's okay. All right, let's take it for a spin. Now, if you don't tell nobody, I won't tell nobody, but there's the speed limit, 50. Absolutely perfect. Let's head back to the shop and then we'll talk. I don't know if I even want to get out of the car. I mean, it's nice with the AC is on, it's nice and cool. Right now it's about 76 degrees out there, but the humidity is about 100%. So we'll get back to the shop. Not that I want to get out of the car, but we're going to have to. All right, I just want to point this out to you here as well. As you can see, no codes present, so we know that it's perfect. All right, let's get back to the shop. All right, so this job is finished and out the door. All right, we did clear the codes out of it. Make sure you do that. I did tell you, make sure you check your oil level. Make sure that the level is exactly where it belongs. The most important thing with any car, whether it's this car or any other car, is change your oil frequently. Keep that sludge from building up inside there. In this particular case, it got 167, 168,000 miles on it. So, you know, it does have time going against it. And as soon as I drove this car, I knew right away what it was because of that bucking feeling that you're getting, especially at high speeds. When you try to accelerate, it'll surge and drop back, surge and drop back. It feels like really like a bad misfire. Well, we know it's not a misfire because our check engine light was not flashing. If the check engine light was flashing, it will be an altogether different issue. But that's not the case here. All right, so that's it. We're going to call the customer up now, tell them this car is done, and on to the next one. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.